Have you noticed how much the words Palestine and Philistine sound alike? The Philistines were Israel's greatest enemy 3,000 years ago, and one of their main cities was Gaza. Are the Palestinians of today the same people group as the Philistines in the Bible? Is history repeating itself 3,000 years later? Is it just a coincidence that the words Palestine and Philistine sound alike, or is there a connection? Let's take a look. King Saul and King David in the Bible fought the Philistines many, many times. Goliath, whom David killed, was a Philistine from the city of Gath. In the first 2 books of my historical fiction series, Age of the Kingdom, there are no less than 6 big battles between Israel and the Philistines. But another prominent city of the Philistines was Gaza. That has a familiar ring, right? We all know that more than a year ago, Hamas attacked Israeli civilians, and the war has been going on ever since. So is history repeating itself? Are the Palestinians descended from the Philistines? To answer that question, we have to look at the words and history of the people. You may not have liked history in school, but history is just the story of how people got where they are. By the way, I hope you'll watch to the end and comment and at least like this video if this content is helpful to you. It is true that the words Palestine and Philistine are related. In fact, in Hebrew they are the same word, Pelesheth. The difference is Philistine is an English translation and Palestine is Latin for the same word. Why Latin? Because the word was coined by the Romans about 1,800 years ago in the year 135. They did it because they were angry at the Jews for repeatedly revolting against their authority. So they named the whole region after Israel's worst enemy 1,200 years before, the Philistines. So are the words Palestine and Philistine related? Yes, they are in fact the same word, just in different languages. But are the Palestinian people the same as the Philistines 3,000 years ago? First, we should note that the word Palestine doesn't appear anywhere in the English Bible unless you are reading the King James Version, which does translate the word Pelesheth as Palestine a couple of times. But modern translations always translate it as Philistine or Philistia, which means the land of the Philistines. Where was the land of the Philistines? Remember I said Gaza was a prominent city of the Philistines 3,000 years ago, and today we have people calling themselves Palestinians who live in the Gaza Strip. If you superimpose a map of ancient Philistia on a map of the Gaza Strip today, you can see it's basically the same place. So the name is the same and the place is the same, but are the people the same? First, who were the Philistines? Most scholars believe, based on archaeological evidence, that the Philistines were a subgroup of the Sea Peoples, who about 3,400 years ago sailed around the Mediterranean rim, burning, raping, and pillaging before settling on the Mediterranean coast just northwest of Egypt. They tried to conquer Egypt, but Egypt pushed them back and they stayed on the coast roughly where the Gaza Strip is today. Where did the Philistines come from? Judging by the artifacts the Philistines left behind, they must have come from the Greek islands, probably Crete, because their pottery is very close, though not exactly like, Mycenaean pottery. So the Philistines were European. It appears they got along well with the Canaanites who lived in the area, but they did not get along well with Israel. For much of the time I cover in the first 3 books of the Age of the Kingdom series, the Philistines dominated Israel, invading over and over, trying to enlarge their territory, although Israel also won battles against the Philistines. King David finally subdued them. Later on, they were conquered by the Egyptians and the Assyrians and eventually disappeared as a distinct people group. What about the Palestinians today? Are they descended from the Philistines? Since the Philistines pretty much disappeared about 2,500 years ago, it's not possible to say the Palestinians are descended from them. As I said, the Philistines were European, whereas those who identify as Palestinians today are Semitic. What does that mean? You've probably heard the term anti-Semitic, which means someone who hates Jews. But that's not really accurate, because Arabs are Semitic too, and Palestinians are Arabs. Semitic people include Jews, Arabs, Akkadians, Canaanites, and even some Ethiopians, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. So both Jews and Palestinians are Semitic. In fact, Jews and Arabs are both descended from Abraham. Christians, Jews, and Muslims all consider Abraham to be an important figure. Abraham is an important figure in the Quran, just as he is in the Old Testament, although the stories about him are different in the two holy books. Arabs are descended from Ishmael, the son Abraham had with Sarah's maid Hagar, whereas Jews are descended from Isaac, the son of Abraham and Sarah. Christians, Jews, and Arabs all agree on that. Ishmael's descendants originally settled in what is now Saudi Arabia and are called Arabs. Isaac's descendants settled in what is now, or what is again, Israel. The Israelis and Palestinians are cousins. They just parted ways 4,000 years ago. So no, the Palestinians of today are not the same people group as the Philistines 3,000 years ago. Even though their name is the same, many of them live in the same place, and they consider themselves enemies of Israel like the Philistines did 3,000 years ago. Both Jews and Arabs use the word shalom, salam in Arabic, which means peace to you. In fact, shalom, salam, is part of the name of Jerusalem. Both shalom and salam have a very similar meaning to aloha in Hawaiian. My prayer is that someday there can be shalom, salam, aloha, peace in the Middle East. I've included links in the description below to articles that have more information about all of this. There are also links in the description to 3 books that might be helpful to you if you're just getting started reading the Bible. Well, that's all for this episode. I hope that you'll join me next time, and that if you enjoy this content, you will like, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when another video drops. See you next time.